So the axe that fell on the leadership at the Ministry of Health and KEMSA comes at the tail end of a bungled malaria nets procurement that puts the lives of millions at risk and that sees the country risk losing hundreds of millions of shillings. The Ministry of Health Principal Secretary, KEMSA's CEO and chairman, as well as the board, was sent packing as the president begins implementing changes at the drugs agency. And as Brenda Wanga now reports, a look at the trail of documents on the bungled tender yields pointers on just why the purge spread from the authority to the parent ministry.
I want to give you my commitment. I will clean up KEMSA, whatever it takes. Mr. President, whatever it costs.
Less than 24 hours after this promise, the president's broom swept across the Ministry of Health, from the headquarters and to the KEMSA boardroom. The Principal Secretary for Health in charge of public health and professional standards, Dr. Josephine Mburu, is out. So is the KEMSA board chairman, while the agency's CEO, Terry Ramadhan, stands suspended, among other KEMSA board members. The changes at KEMSA follow a trail of transactions that saw Kenya lose a 3.7 billion shillings global fund tender with over 10 million insecticide-treated nets for mass distribution later in the year. For the former principal secretary, her actions to interrupt the process of tendering led to a mess in the procurement process. In a letter dated the 21st of February this year, the PS, Dr. Josephine Mburu, wrote to the CEO KEMSA, Terry Ramadhani, pointing out what she said were inconsistencies in specifications for the nets in the Global Fund tender. In her letter, the PS indicated that the specification and technology misses the PBO long-lasting insecticide-treated nets, combination nets, which is inconsistent with the specifications that were shared by the Ministry of Health. A day later, on the 22nd of February, Terry acted on the PS's instructions. In a letter dated the same day, she wrote, and I quote, "In view of this and in order to rectify the error that has been identified before closure of tender, scheduled on the 23rd of February 2023, we have extended the tender closing date by another 14 days to close 10th March 2023 to allow room for clarifications, modifications of tender and submission of the same," end of quote. The Global Fund, in a rebuttal on the 24th of February 2023, dismissed the justification for the PS's change of specifications, insisting, and I quote, "The nets being procured are pyrethroid and not PBO. Therefore, the requirement for the PBOs should not be included in the tender document," end of quote. At the end of the procurement process, 2 out of the 16 companies listed, Partech East Africa Limited and Shobika Impex Limited, emerged as KEMSA's pick to do business with. The same were, however, found to have failed to meet the mandatory requirements by the Global Fund, leading the Global Fund to take over the procurement itself and in the process denying Kenya close to 400 million shillings in earnings from the tender. The KEMSA outgoing leadership, the chairman and the CEO, however, have defended their actions vehemently.
We do procurement, warehousing and distribution. We went fishing. They gave us a job to do. With the timelines, we missed a bit of procurement.
And we stand by those decisions because if you look at the detail of it, they were responsive. We may differ on terms of what exactly is it that they have looked at, and that whole comprehensive report has been done.
Another nail in their proverbial coffins may have been the agreement with the Tender Evaluation Committee that shortlisted Partech East Africa Limited and Shobika Impex. The Global Fund's action to move the tender to wambo.org was informed by the Tender Evaluation Committee's failure to apply evaluation criteria consistently to all bidders. 4 individuals from the committee, Anthony Shege, Martin Wamwea, Cosmas Rotich and Lenson Kariuki, were among the group suspended in Monday's presidential action. The dismissal of leaders from Ministry of Health and KEMSA is perhaps just the beginning of a process that seeks to rehabilitate the scandal-ridden KEMSA from cases of mismanagement in the past, the most recent one that has left dispensaries and health centers across the country out of stock of essential drugs. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV, Nairobi.